The rhythm was steady, unrelenting, a woman's voice soft, breathless, whispering his name like a quiet prayer. The sound of a headboard hitting the wall over and over and over in perfect time became instead the sound of gentle footsteps pacing a room. I used to listen with curiosity, wondering what it meant, wondering what he said to them that made their voices shake. Now I didn't have to wonder because last night I was one of them. And if I wanted, I could be again. All it would take was a knock. Before we dive in, please take a second to like the video and subscribe. It's quick, effortless, and helps the channel more than you know. I truly appreciate your support. Now, let's begin. It started with a murmur, low, steady, confident, then a woman's reply, warm and breathy. I couldn't make out the words, but I could hear the emotion in her voice. Then came the first sound, a soft, trembling note, completely unrestrained. The quiet thud of movement in the next room, slow at first, then faster, imperfect rhythm with her gasps. No hesitation, no awkwardness, just pure, overwhelming feeling. I lay frozen, my breath shallow, warmth curling through me. This wasn't normal. I had overheard neighbors before, quick, forgettable moments, but this was something else, and it was happening every night. Different voices, different women, but the same sincere, uncontrollable emotion. I turned onto my side, pressing my thighs together, my pulse unsteady. I should have drowned it out, but I didn't. I listened, and with every trembling breath that slipped through the thin walls, one thought burned brighter in my mind. What was he saying to them? And why did I suddenly wish it were me? By day he was forgettable, quiet, self-contained, never drawing attention. But at night, when the walls came alive with soft, broken cries, he became something else entirely. I had only seen him a handful of times. Tall, broad-shouldered, effortlessly composed. Older, maybe mid-50s, but steady in a way younger men weren't. Women never stayed long, but they always left looking changed. I tried not to stare when we crossed paths, but I noticed everything. The way he moved, eaved, unrushed, assured. The way he spoke, low, deliberate, like every word mattered. And most of all, the way he looked at people, like he already knew their secrets. I told myself I wasn't curious, but I was. And then one night, I turned the corner and nearly walked straight into him. Up close, he smelled clean, warm, expensive. He didn't step back, just held my gaze, a small smile tugging at his lips. Thin walls. My breath hitched, he knew. His smile lingered, but he didn't wait for a response. He just walked past me, his footsteps slow, deliberate. I stood frozen, my fingers tightening around my keys, my pulse hammering in my throat. Thin walls, 2 words, yet they unraveled everything. He knew. He had known for a while. I forced myself to exhale, pretending it didn't affect me, pretending I wasn't burning with embarrassment and something else, Dad, and something else. But as I turned to unlock my door, I caught it, a glance over his shoulder, a smile like he was waiting for me to say something. I didn't. I locked myself inside, pressing my back against the door, heart racing. It was one thing to listen, another thing to be caught. But now it was impossible to ignore him. The next night, the sounds started again, but they felt different now. Louder, clearer, or maybe I was just listening harder. The woman's soft cries cut through the silence, breathy, desperate, almost overwhelmed. The steady rhythm in the room was unrelenting. I squeezed my thighs together, my breath shallow, warmth curling low in my stomach. Had he always spoken to them like this, or was this for me? I turned, pressing my palm lightly against the wall, my body burning restless. I imagined him on the other side, leaning close to her, his voice calm, steady, saying things I couldn't quite hear. My hand drifted lower. Before I could stop myself, I let my legs fall open, breath etching as my fingers drew slow circles over the blanket, matching the rhythm next door. It was easy to pretend. Easy to imagine that it was me, that his words were meant for me, that his voice was grounding me, holding me. The woman cried out, a sharp, broken sound. I muffled my own quiet gasp against my wrist. The feeling built quickly, gentle but overwhelming. My body tightened, warmth crashing through me in waves. I bit my lip, shuddering, breathless, my pulse pounding in my ears. And yet, even as my body relaxed, the ache inside me didn't fade. I was done waiting. I had to know. Tomorrow I would make a move. All day anticipation thrummed beneath my skin. I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Every time I heard a door shut, footsteps in the hallway, I wondered if it was him. If he was thinking about me the way I had been thinking about him. If he was waiting for me to make a move. or if he already knew I would. By the time the evening came, my pulse was steady, my decision made. I stepped out just as he did, like fate had aligned the moment for us. He paused, his gaze settling on me with amusement. "Twice in 2 days," he mused. "You sure you're not following me?" I let my lips curve into something playful. "Would that bother you?" His smile deepened. "Depends on your intentions." I tilted my head slightly, holding his stare. "I was thinking, since we're neighbors, maybe we should have dinner sometime. Get to know each other properly." A beat of silence, not hesitation, calculation. He was reading me, weighing my words, deciding if I understood exactly what I was asking for. Then a small nod. "Tomorrow, my place. He didn't ask. He told me." A spark shot through me, warmth, curling low in my stomach. "Sounds perfect." I turned first, walking away without looking back. But I didn't need to. I could feel his eyes on me the entire way. Tomorrow. His door was already open when I arrived. Not wide, just enough to let me know he'd been waiting. He stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame, watching me with that same unreadable smile, like he knew exactly why I was here, like he had known all along. "Right on time," he said, stepping aside to let me in. The apartment was exactly what I expected. Minimal, clean, effortless. Deo enio. No clutter, no distractions, like a man who didn't let anything into his life unless he wanted it there. The scent of something warm and well-cooked lingered in the air. Stew, maybe. A man who knew how to welcome someone before he let them close. "You cook?" I teased, walking past him. "I like control over what I prepare." His voice was smooth, deliberate. "Don't you?" My pulse kicked up, but I didn't let it show. Not yet. I took a seat at the small dining table, crossing my legs slowly, watching as he poured the wine. He was unrushed, measured, completely in command of the moment. "So tell me," he said, setting a glass in front of me, "are you always this curious about your neighbors?" I let my fingers trace the rim of the glass, tilting my head slightly. "Only the ones worth being curious about." His lips twitched in amusement. "And what exactly caught your attention?" I took a slow sip of wine, holding his gaze over the rim. "The way you make people sound." That was the first time he paused. Just for a fraction of a second, his gaze softened, the amusement in his smile turning into something deeper. "And how do I make them sound? Moved? Worshipped?" Completely undone. I didn't say any of that. I just smiled softly. He let out a quiet chuckle, swirling his wine. "Good to know my reputation precedes me," I hummed, taking another sip. It's hard not to notice. There was no small talk after that, no need for it. The air between us was already thick with something else. He ate slowly, his gaze flicking to me between bites, as if watching to see how long I could hold out. I held my own, making him wait, making him work for it. But when I finished my last sip of wine and set the glass down, he stood. "Come here." 2 words. No question, just a gentle request. Warmth surged through me as I rose from my seat, pulse hammering as he took my hand and led me toward the living room. I didn't hesitate. I didn't want to. The room was softly lit, the scent of his cologne still lingering in the air. Everything about the space was controlled, intentional, just like him. He closed the door behind me with an almost lazy motion, but there was nothing lazy about the way he watched me, like he knew exactly what was going to happen next. I barely had time to process the warmth in his gaze before he moved. One moment I was standing still, anticipation thrumming through my veins. The next, his hands were on my shoulders. Firm, steady, gentle, guiding me backward. His touch confident but unhurried. He wasn't just leading me. He was inviting me. When the back of my legs touched the couch, he didn't push. He just stood there, looking at me, waiting for me to decide how this was going to happen. I sat down first. That was all the permission he needed. His mouth met mine in an instant. Not rough, not demanding, but slow, comforting. A deep, steady kiss that loosened every thought in my mind. He didn't rush. He made me feel every second of it, like he wanted me to understand without words that he was here with me, fully present. His hand slid lower, gripping my hips as he eased me onto my back, his weight leaning close, grounding me, steady, reassuring. My body was already warm, already restless, but he wasn't in any hurry. He wanted me to feel safe. His lips trailed softly along my neck, his stubble rough but gentle. Every kiss, every brush of his mouth was careful, like he was memorizing me, learning exactly where to linger, exactly how to steady my breathing. Then he shifted. It was effortless. 1 second I was beneath him. The next I was on my stomach, his hands resting lightly on my hips, guiding my posture. "Stay there," he murmured, his voice laced with quiet warmth. Heat surged through me, my breath catching as his hands skimmed down my spine, slow, reassuring. He wasn't just touching me, he was calming me. His grip was steady but unhurried, adjusting my position with the kind of confidence that made my head spin. When he finally leaned close, the first whisper stole the breath from my lungs. His grip tightened slightly, fingers settling at my waist as he spoke, gently, slow at first, so steady, so soothing that my hands curled into the cushions. But then, just when I thought I could anticipate his words, he changed them. He adjusted his tone, his cadence, the way he guided my thoughts. And suddenly, it wasn't just good, it was overwhelming. Every word pushed me deeper into emotion, his presence absolute, like he knew exactly when to soften, exactly when to steady me, exactly when to make me breathe. I let out a soft sound before I could stop myself. "That's it," he murmured, his voice rough with warmth. "Let me hear you." He spoke again, a slight shift, a change in tone, and my body shivered. I gasped, fingers gripping the cushions, my back arching as emotion crashed through me. Not sharp, not frantic, a deep, unrelenting wave. He felt it when my breath caught, felt the way I tensed, how my legs trembled. But he wasn't done, and I barely had time to recover before he guided me again, shifting me gently, settling me against the cushions with the ease of a man who wasn't finished until he had given everything. He leaned over me, his hands gripping my wrists gently, pinning them beside my head, not trapping me, but holding me exactly where he wanted me. His gaze flickered over me, studying every reaction, every breathless gasp. And then he spoke again, slow, intentional, completely in control. I felt my body tightening again and the emotion building too quickly, too intensely. His tone never faltered, his grip never loosened.